And now it's time to preview an upcoming game.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be going into outer space. That's right, we're going to be colonizing different areas, including Earth and other planetarium and orbits and stuff like that. We're going to be seeing Mind, who is on the front of the box here. This is called Mind, The Fall of Paradise. It's a game for 1 to 4 players, where it's asynchronous. You have one person playing Mind, who is an artificial intelligence who essentially has authority over the human beings. Then we have a team of humans, anywhere from 1 to 3 of them, that are the leaders of a rebel force that's trying to overthrow the AI called Mind. So let's show you how it's played. I'm going to show you a very high level because this game has quite a lot to it. Very high level summary, and I'll see you on the other side. Now, since this is a Kickstarter preview, everything that I show you here is prototype and is subject to change, all the artwork, all the components and things like that. Mind the Fall of Paradise is an asynchronous game, team versus team, where one player will play Mind. Mind is an artificial intelligence that's controlling the human beings. He plays on his own team and is going to be trying to control different servers, which will allow him to get different actions, and in the end he's trying to complete specific amount of achievements depending on the scenario. Now there's 3 different scenarios that come with the game now. There's a solo scenario, and there's 2 other scenarios, and the maps get set up differently. There's different things that set up and different achievements that need to get completed in order to finish the game from either the Mind side or the leader side. Now against Mind is the rebel leaders, and up to 3 other people can select their nice miniature of their leader that they're going to use and try to work together as a team to defeat Mind. The game has 3 phases. It has the Mind phase, where Mind will go through different phase steps and do different things and actions and events. Then the leaders will have a turn to go through different phase steps and events. And then there'll be a closing phase where some actions will resolve in combat. I'm not going to go over all the details of the play, but I will go over in general what you're trying to do. At the beginning of the game, there's 1 colony on Earth called Lianon, and there's 1 orbital station. Now during Mind's turn, he's going to do some things with some dice and get some other actions. In general, he's also going to be trying to gain the actions, the special things that each of the servers that he has gives them. Each server gives the same type of resources. And these things allow him to do different things and take different actions and order different citizens and things like that during his turn. But before he gets to spend a lot of actions and do different things, there will be a conflict that comes up every round. And this conflict needs specifically 2 science, 4 energy, 4 metal. Here it would need possibly some citizens to go to war, and that's not it, and some different command points, which essentially are some of the tokens that are used for different actions. Now between Mind and between all the leaders together, they must fulfill all this conflict, and this is where Mind gets to put some of the resources here first that he wants, but he could put pressure to make the leaders pay the rest of this. But it's a push your luck element, because if this is not done, this 3 destruction will happen by the end of the round. So if that went down 3, the destruction would go down 3 places. These are different ways that you can get bonuses during the game with the command dice. But if that goes all the way to the end, before, in different scenarios, different things happen. So if in one scenario, for example, if you don't evacuate 10 human citizens by the end of that thing, everybody loses. So even though people are trying to work together, even the Mind and the leaders, to delay the destruction of Earth. And also before Mind takes most of his actions, there'll be an event that happens. There's certain things happen. For example, players pay 3 energy for each colony they own. Different bad things will happen. And towards the very end of the deck, at the end of the game, that's when the end will happen. The Earth will be randomly destroyed, I think, in the last 10 cards in the deck. So it is sort of rushing. You're trying to finish your goal before the Earth ends and nobody wins. When it comes time to spend resources, Mind could unlock research cards by paying certain science costs. And he could, for example, create a machine citizen. Again, he'd have to use some of his action tokens, in this case a cooldown token from his servers, in order to create the machine citizens. And those machines have a certain amount of intelligence and power and durability, and he'll be able to put that in the colony. Now this is important because one of the achievements that he can mine is Destroyer, control 10 machines. If he controls 10 machines, he has unlocked that achievement, and he only needs 3 in this specific scenario to win the game. He could also build cool things and unlock things like a sector module, or a shield generator, or a docking bay. Now, think about this on the achievement side, the visionary winning condition is unlocking 10 researchers, and again, any 3 of these in this scenario, and he wins the game. Now, it is important to note that all these cool things that you can build in the game come with these really cool looking miniatures. And each of those miniatures comes with a board that once you build it, the board comes out. Now, the game starts with that orbital station, and when we move somebody into there, he's the commander, and he is just another person that's in there. But as you build some of those other cool things where you saw what the miniatures are, each of those spaceships has their own little board that will come out where people like the commander, as I showed you before, will go in. And as you can see, some of the spaceships are bigger than others, and these come out as they get built, and people can go inside of them and move in and out and actually operate them. For example, this orbital station has a power of 2, and depending on how intelligent this person is, you can move a certain amount around. And you can move around the orbit that you're at for just 1 point of movement, or you can move into different regions for different other points of movement. So if I wanted to move into this, it would cost me 2 points of movement. If I used 1 point of movement to move here, I can move 1 to move here. Now that's the points of movement. If I get to a certain spot, let's say I go here, I can roll a die and see how many of these resources I would get. Ooh, 6 of those. I would get 6 of those resources. They would actually go into the orbital station, all 6 of those metal there. And if you move into an orbit of a different planet, you can also harvest the different resources that that planet creates. And depending on the intelligence of the commander, you can draw some certain solar cards during the time that you're in space, and you might be able to get things like some more energy. You'd roll that die to figure out how much energy you have. You could find other resources like science or metal. You might actually get hit by an asteroid and roll the die to see how much damage you receive. Sometimes you just find nothing. All sorts of things in the solar deck that you can explore for while you're moving around orbit. And planetary stations, if you have that ship flying around in orbit of another planet, you can actually colonize this planet using this planetary station, which allows you to get a new colony where this would kind of come off the map, and you'd get a new colony here. So this would go here, and then a whole other colony board would come out. And now we have a colony on Venus, and the people that were in the planetary ship there would be into this special sector, but everything else that's going into it would be sort of blocked because it's unbuilt, and that starts another colony. Also in space, you can attack enemy ships. If they're in adjacent regions or if they're in adjacent orbital sections, you can attack the enemy ship. And when the attacker attacks, essentially it shows how much power each of the ships have. And basically there's a formula between power and the amount of intelligence of the commander, and some random die roll tells you how many damage you'll be able to do to the other ship. And there's also these commander cards, one for each drawn for the amount of power that the ship has, and these cards let you break the rules of attacking. For example, the attacker could choose a ship that deals 6 extra power on this turn. They could deal up to 7 to a ship they choose. He could choose a ship that can't be targeted, so some of these are defensive. And after this person's being attacked, when it's his turn, he can defend. He can restore up to 7 durability. He can have these for some of the attacking parts of his turn as well. And if they start getting a lot of damage, remember this ship has an 8 durability. Once there's 6 squares here, once damage starts to come here, there will be some fires being put in here, and each of these squares will start to get damaged once a certain amount of damage comes, depending on the durability. And of course, some of those can be remedied by repairing it with metal, and then those fires will come off. And essentially, this will go on until maybe a card tells them that they can leave the battle, or until one of these ships basically get defeated. Instead of actually attacking, you can actually try to hijack the other ship. And let's say this person tried to come into here. They could defend it by having a certain amount of command points, depending on how many people are trying to come on. But he could come in here, and if so, then he could start trying to combat inside of the ship, which is the same way that you would combat if you're inside of a colony as well. And in this case, we have Nadira and Marco in combat, and they have a certain amount of power and durability of each of them. And when they're attacking, it's similar to before. It's the amount of power having to do with the amount of what they roll on the dice, and the more intelligence they have, the more times they can re-roll the die. And at a high level, how this combat would work is we have Nadera versus Marco, and essentially the combat works in a formula that has to do with the amount of power you have, and the amount of intelligence will tell you how many times you can roll the fate die, and a combination of those will tell you how much damage you end up doing to the character. And of course you have the amount of durability that's there, and people can spend certain command points if they're equipped with weapons. For example, if they want to spend a command point, they could deal an additional damage if she was equipped with this, and some people could be equipped with armor and fully heal a damage and things like that. And if somebody is killed, then obviously if they get more damage than they can take, they would be killed and come off the board. Then there'd be some looting that would go on, where they could get some resources from them and such. And of course, if they leave with some damage, they will continue to have that. There's many other things you can do with resources, but after that he's going to be moving towards ordering citizens around to move and build things, for example, and operate. For example, this guy can operate the production facility, where some of the other people can essentially move. And these, he gets 5 ordered movements for each of the servers that he owns. And that's where we would grab these to move them. Now for any of the citizens that is under his control, he can spend cooldown tokens to link them. For each server, he can link up to 5 of those citizens, and again, that's another winning condition for Mind. That is the last one here called the Savior. If he links 10 citizens, he gets that achievement. Again, any 3 of these will have him win in this scenario. Now as I mentioned, on the leader side of things, at the beginning of the game, they get to select one of the people, that whether it's Andrew, or Bruno, or Irene, and they all have different health, strength, and intelligences of each of those. For example, Irene has 15 health that they start with, and this is how much power they have, and as this goes up and up or down, the power that they have actually will go up or down through these different bands as well. We also have 3 intelligence for her, and intelligence is tracked by here. And since she starts with 3 intelligence, she's going to start there, and as you go up, you get different bonuses depending on what's there, different actions, more health, more power, things like that. And then also over here we have experience points. Now as they perform actions or win in combat, they're going to get experience points down here. And as this, once it gets all the way to the top, this will actually move up. And as it moves up, you get different bonuses that you can unlock. They also get to go up in intelligence, and they get to go up in durability as well once you get to the bigger experience. They'll also get to order more citizens around, depending on how many players are in the game. And as the leaders go through the different phase steps, it's important to note that each of the leader people are going to be doing this simultaneously at each step so that the turns kind of run together. And when the leaders get to the spot where they spend resources, all the resources are shared between all the leaders so they can decide what everyone should be doing. There's many things they can do on spending the resources. They can, for example, equip themselves or any of the citizens they control with all sorts of different things, like devices that will allow them to do different things, in weapons or armor. And when they equip them, it goes something like this. They could buy stuff at the black market. They could bribe other citizens to try to get things from them. They could also, during their action phase, recruit, trade, or steal from those other citizens that are owned by Mind as well to try to get them to be one of their followers. And many of the same things that Mind can do, they can do by moving and by controlling and by operating different things, and then operating spaceships and moving around and exploring outside. And in this scenario, the leaders are trying to win by getting one of these 3. General, which is control 10 followers. And again, if they're on the white side, that's one of their followers there. 2, we have Conqueror, which is control any 2 colonies. And a colony is controlled by whoever has the majority of the followers or citizens that are on that colony. So again, Conqueror if they control 2 colonies, Veteran if they reach a rank of 5. By gaining enough experience, all the way up to 35, 5 different times and getting up to rank 5, or by reaching 10 of intelligence. Again, any 3 of these first, and they would beat, the leaders would beat Mind. Now, of course, they're trying to do this before Earth gets destroyed all the way to the end, or in this scenario, if it does get to the end, you have to have evacuate at least 10 citizens by then. There's also a hope track that can move up and down, given by certain things that happen in the game. If they go down, you would get less intelligence and less power and things like that over the game, over each round. If it's going up, people will get more citizens in the colonies. They could also get auto healing and power and intelligence like that. And this will be moving up and down during certain things in the game, and that's another track that will be kind of tug of war between the 2 sides. In general, at a high level, that's how the game's played. So, the Mind, the Fall, the Paradise. As you can see, the people that are going to like this are going to like asynchronous games where you have a very different play feel between one side and the other. Also, the leader side is team. So even though you're going against and it feels completely different game when you're on that side than the Mind side, you're basically working together as a team, spending items together, spending resources together, taking your turns together to try to combat Mind. Also, you have the semi-cooperative aspect where the destruction of Earth has to be delayed, but you're both working on it, the leader side and the Mind side. And of course you have the theme, and you have the science and the buying the different spaceships and building those and going off and exploring space. So you have that theme there. And of course you have combat. You have different resources, you have equipping items. So all of those different things, and there is a lot here. This is a very deep game that has a lot of things that you can do, a lot of decisions to be made. If this sounds like something that's for you, then just at the end of this video, there's going to be a link right below me. You can go directly to that link. This is live on Kickstarter right now, and I'm sure they would love your support.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.